I know when the cost of eggs went up, you contemplated either renting or buying a chicken at a farm. Did you finally do that, or did you wait out the cost of eggs and let it come down before you rented a chicken at a farm?
I was contemplating buying chickens and buying a cow and making my own butter and having my own eggs. Because I grew up on a farm. I know how to milk a cow. I had to slow my roll. No, I did not go out and buy a chicken farm or buy chickens or anything like that. So all my ingredients, for the most part, come from a supplier, a food distribution company. What I do like to do, and something that I think kind of makes me unique, is I do try to support local. There's a lot of agriculture here in the area. Because when I first took over the business, I'm like, hey, can I get butter locally here? Well, no, I don't live in Wisconsin. There's no dairy farms here in this area of North Carolina that make butter. But there are a whole lot of chicken farms here in North Carolina. Local chicken farmers at the time were not selling their eggs for $9 a dozen. They were selling them for 4. While they did not have the quantity in which I needed, they were able to supplement. So I was able to bring in chicken eggs. And actually, he just contacted me last night that I will go ahead and bring in local chicken eggs into my production. The difference, though, and something again I had to learn, was that when you order chicken eggs from a distributor and you order large chicken eggs, they are all the same size, all the same weight, generally, that you can just crack however many eggs you need, not really worry about it. When you buy them from a local farmer, you get small eggs, you get extra large eggs, and it becomes the part of the science of baking really comes into play. You then have to weigh all of your eggs and make sure that you're still getting the same amount of yolks. So where before a recipe of mine, I may needed 8 extra large eggs. Now I ended up with 14 medium-sized eggs. So being able to do that shift. But I do still think about buying chickens every once in a while. Not gonna lie.
I know last spring when you were getting started, there was some local competition. There was a brick and mortar opening. What have you learned from that? Did that force you to increase your social media presence and also diversify, getting your truck out to local events?
So yes, I was very nervous about this new business coming in because they had already had a cookie company before. They were called Kind Cookie. They actually got sued by Kind Bar for name infringement. They had to shut their business down for a while. And then they came back and opened a brick and mortar. At first, I was distraught. I was watching everything that they did and trying to get a gauge of how the community was going to receive them. Community actually received them fairly well, but to be honest, I did not see too much of a degrade in my own business. I did step up my social media. I tried to just have a stagnant picture of a cookie. I started to do some more interactive things, trying to get people to learn about who we are as a business and things of that nature. And really, I just stayed true to my brand and what we're trying to do. End of the day, I don't try to pay them any attention. They're going to do what they're going to do, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. There's a whole lot of backstory with that company and the previous owner as well, but this is not an easy business. When people come to me and tell me they prefer my cookies, all I do is say thank you. At the end of the day, I can't stop anybody from coming to open up another cookie business or even open another cookie truck and park it right beside me. All I can control is my business, my product, my brand, and putting it out there in the best way I possibly can. I look at Crumble. I'm sure at one point Crumble cookies were probably really great, but they've scaled. Now people are starting to realize where Instagram and TikTok made them famous, Instagram and TikTok are starting to take away. As I just saw a celebrity the other day do a tasting of Crumble cookies, and she's like, these are horrible. At the end of the day, what is most important to me is that when you come to my truck, that the cookie you get should be one of the best you've ever had in your life, and that every single one of my girls treats you like family. Because these aren't customers, these are my family. Now, these are people who are coming to support me. They don't have to come get my cookies. They can go to Walmart, they can go to BJ's. They don't have to come support me. So at the end of the day, we try to treat every single customer who comes to the window like family. I call it on a Friday night when we're busy at Reds and a little 6-year-old comes up with his mom and dad's American Express Platinum and they don't know how to use it. I'm like, I'm teaching life skills. Here, stick it in. It's a platinum card. You hit the 25% tip. Hit that one right there. I call it my life skills tip. And at the end of the day, like all I can leave people with is feeling that because my cookies aren't cheap. You're not paying $1 a cookie. You're paying at least $4 a cookie. And if it's a specialty cookies, you're paying $5 a cookie, which I understand is not attainable for every single person. But when you do get my cookies, they're going to be good, they're going to be fresh, and you're not going to be disappointed. And if you happen to be disappointed, I always tell people, please come let me know and I will make it right.
Trying to build that loyalty. I actually thought that the food truck business relied more on their own truck to do the advertisement. How is using social media contribute to that or other forms of advertisement? And how do you keep yourself from the temptation of spreading out, doing other desserts and just stick to that product and that's it?
Yeah, so the first thing, social media in the food truck community is huge because you can reach more people via social media than will ever see your food truck driving around town. Even my second truck that is parked along a main thoroughfare, even if it's sitting there, I still reach more people every day on social media than I do any other platform. That's really where you start to cultivate your community. I always try when I see people tag us in a product that they buy, I always try to repost it. Every person who comments on a post of mine, at a minimum, I'm liking the post if I haven't commented myself. Every DM I get, I'm replying to. You want to build that sense of community. You want to be able, and that's the way you do it is through social media. It's the, I won't say easiest because social media is actually quite hard. That is the fastest, cheapest way to build your community. And then you will start to get a following where people now know where I am the majority of the time. But when I post that I'm going to go to Dirtbag Ales, which is on the other side of Fort Bragg in Hope Mills, my following that's in Fayetteville is super excited. I'm like, hey, Fayetteville, coming your way. And they get excited and they come out and they support. You have to do that. You can't rely on your truck driving around town and think people are going to show up. So social media is huge, not just stagnant posts, but reels and stories and anything that's interactive and live. I actually just had a reel which blew my mind. I had 18,000 people watch this reel of me putting ice cream onto a large cookie ice cream cake. And I went, who does that? I don't, for reference, I only have 2,900 followers on Instagram, but 18,000 people watch this. Blew my mind. So I have to do it. Right now I've been slacking on my socials, but we're starting spring season. So there's a lot I gotta do. And then as far as branching out to other products, believe me, the temptation is there. But when I look at what else I should do, I always look into the frame of what should I do without having to buy more product. So right now I make cookies, I serve ice cream, I make cookie ice cream sandwiches, I sell soda. So now, like we used to just do root beer floats. Well, dirty sodas are like a big thing right now, but I don't want to deal with the creamer and stuff. I've expanded the offerings of soda floats. So you can get a root beer float, you can get a Dr. Pepper float, you can get, it's called a Purple Cow, which I never heard of, but it's grape soda with a vanilla scoop of ice cream. So I've expanded to 6 flavors of soda floats. Went off with a bang last week. But think of it as the Cheesecake Factory phenomenon. You go to Cheesecake Factory and they hand you a menu that's 30 pages. I do not know anybody who's read that menu front to back. And if you make more than about 6, 7 choices for your customers, they're going to get overwhelmed. They're not going to order anything. So that really keeps me focused on what I offer. I will never offer more than 8 flavors of cookies or 8 flavors of ice cream. That is it. My freezer can fit 12 flavors of ice cream, but even 8 flavors of ice cream, people are going, oh, should I get mint chip or rocky road today? And it slows your line down, which slows your profit down. If I feel like I want to do something new and different, I do it for holidays and I offer it as like a one-time thing. I did chocolate dipped chocolate chip heart cookies for Valentine's Day. I offered it as a special. That is it. That helps my creative need without going crazy with all these extra supplies.
How seasonal is this? It does get cold. How does that affect your business?
Yeah, we have a big downturn after New Year's, probably from about New Year's until actually about last weekend. It's a struggle, but what you do in the business is you make sure that you're saving that money that you're making. Trucks here in North Carolina, it's gangbusters from March till about 4th of July. And then in North Carolina, everyone goes to the beach from 4th of July till the beginning of school. That is just too hot. And then once school's back in, till about, depending on the weather, Thanksgiving. I being a sweet truck, Christmas is normally pretty good for me because of a lot of catering orders. But you have to understand the cycle of your business. And that's where I made buku money March through July last year. I probably could have paid off a good portion of my loan, but I knew I needed cash flow to cover me July and August. And then I knew I needed cash flow to cover me December, January, and February. And I actually cut myself a little short, but it still worked out because we had a couple nice days in February where it saved me. But that's just understanding the cycle of your business. And food trucks really are, they're a cyclical business. If it rains, like tomorrow it's going to rain. We're not going to open our food truck where we normally open at 11. We won't open until at least 3 o'clock tomorrow because it's going to be rainy and cold.
It's clear your supply chain background. When did you realize that those skills were going to translate to this business?
I think the first time that I realized that the skills that I had from the military were going to translate was the first time I sat down and actually did out my cost of goods and figuring out how my production was going to work. I'm like, this is no more than a sync matrix with numbers and understanding this is where things ebb and flow, my demand. I think it just became overnight, I was like, oh, I know how to do this. There's this great thing on Instagram that describes business ownership perfectly, and I won't swear on the call. It's F around and find out. And that's pretty much like when you find that crosshairs, that's when you're like, okay, because there was a whole lot of this past year, there's a whole lot of effing around. But I found out a whole lot of things. So dialing that in, and I was like, oh, this is what I did my whole career. I found out a whole lot in the military. This makes sense. It's a very transferable skill, really for anything. Like, I think not just being a physician in the military, but everything that we do in the military really translates the military decision-making process. Like, where when they used to tell me that we had to do MDMP and sit down in a basement and do this, I'm like, oh, this is so boring. But I do it every day and I don't even realize it.